everyone, and welcome to another live episode of the DCL Duo Podcast, brought to you by My Path Unwinding. And because this is a live episode, we are also brought to you by the WDW magazine, and specifically the DCL magazine. Let's help make this a thing, you guys. We know that their float out edition is available for pre-order currently, so make sure to order that, because of course you do want to read Brian's article all about parasailing at Castaway Key. And of course, if you want to purchase anything in their store, remember to use the code DCL Duo for 10% off. All right. Well, we've got a great show for you tonight. As you can tell, I am hosting without Brian, but I'm super excited because I have a wonderful guest today. Krystyne is joining me. Welcome back to the show, Krystyne.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. We've got a lot of people joining us. I wanted to make sure everybody notices I am wearing green. I am not going to get pinched today.
Pinch me, pinch me, pinch me. I'm not.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Not only am I wearing green, but I'm actually wearing a green Wish shirt. So this shirt was purchased on the Wish. It is a Wandering Oaken Big Summer Blowout. It's actually it says Music Festival. It's Wandering Oaken's Music Festival, so perfect for our discussion today. Of course, I also want to wish people a happy belated Pi Day. Of course, it's Monday, March 17th, but Friday was Pi Day at 3/14. And I have to give a special shout out to the DCL Duos plus one, Nathan, who won his class challenge for reciting the most digits of pi along with his best friend. Yeah, they decided to tie at, I kid you not, Krystyne, 230 digits of pi. And that's not counting the three. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I can only name 14159. I don't know past the first 5 digits of pi. So yeah. So Nathan, and actually he apparently knew 285 digits, and his friend knew similar, but they were worried about messing up. And so they decided to both share the championship and stop at 230 digits. So
that's amazing.
He's just incredible. I just needed to say that because I'm such a proud mom.
You should be. That's awesome.
Yeah, and he came home with a pi tattoo on his cheek today. It is a temporary tattoo, thank God, or somebody would be being murdered right about now. But anyway, we have a great show. We're not going to talk about kids today. In fact, we're going to talk very much not about kids today. Because Krystyne just recently got back from a sailing on the Disney Wish with her husband, and they left the kids at home.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so we need to talk about this amazing sailing, this adults only, so it's cocktails only, no kids, sailing on the Disney Wish. And of course, as I teased in our last show, and actually our last couple of shows, they also were able to do an upgrade to Concierge. So we're going to also talk about some of the Concierge experience on tonight's show. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, Krystyne, remind people, you only just started sailing on Disney Cruise Line, right?
Yeah, we did. So if you remember back to our 499, I think is when we were episode, we went on Halloween on the High Seas, was technically the second cruise for myself and my oldest daughters, and the first for half of my family, my husband and my 2 youngest children. We went on the Magic to Lookout Key. And prior to that, we'd had a Hurricane Irma canceled 2017 cruise. Mm-hmm. And we had my mother-in-law, myself, and my 2 daughters went on the Wonder on a 7-night Eastern Caribbean in 2018. Then we didn't cruise again until that Halloween cruise. And then my husband and I got a really good deal on a guarantee room on the Wish on a 3-night. And we decided that if Concierge port upgrades were available, we were going to do it, and we did.
That's amazing. Let's start there with how you decided to take this cruise, and what made you decide to leave the kids at home. Like, how did this all work out? Because I think those of us with child or children, right, know that sometimes we got to finagle things in order to get away without those kids. And so I'm curious, like, how did this even come up?
Yeah, so there was finagling involved for sure. My mother-in-law thankfully was coming into town for a dentist appointment at the same time
Mhm.
that the guarantee rates were available for this cruise. And so we said, hey, can you just stay and watch these kiddos while we do this? And she was like, yes. Now, of course, there was some extra things like the dog had to go to puppy training and my kids go to a homeschool co-op and I'm the lunch lady. And she, there were things to work out.
Things to arrange.
We had
Yeah.
to, be us, which we're busy people. And there were some hiccups, but by and large, it all worked out. Nobody died. That was good. And then, so we worked out all of that part and said, okay, we're good to go. So then we booked the room because of course you worry like, are other people going to get this? Is it going to, book out? So the one kind of hiccup was our airfare went up like the day I was looking at it. And then we made all the plans. And the next day, the flight there went up like $200, like $100 each. And so I was a little bit upset about that.
What a pain.
When you're making last minute plans, that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, our total, the cruise itself was only $1,900 for the two of us for the 3 nights on a 5C. That was the room category, which is not bad. A veranda. Previously, we've only done like ocean view paired with an inside when we had to do the 2 rooms. So we hadn't had a veranda, and we still didn't actually get a veranda because we went with an ocean view concierge room.
Well, so let's rewind a little bit to why did you decide to take the cruise without the kids? Like, why not bring them? Yeah, why not bring them along on the cruise? You see, there's a GTY available for this cruise. It's a 3-day weekend because it's a 3-night on the Wish. Why the decision to leave the kids?
Right. Well, we had just taken them in September, and we're taking them this coming September to Alaska with us. And this year, my husband and I are turning 40. And we're celebrating 20 years of marriage. And that's really why the big Alaska trip is coming. But we decided that we needed to do something just for us. And so that's where we went ahead and decided to take this little weekend getaway just for ourselves. We have 2 teenagers, and we used to say toddlers, but our kids are now 15, 14, 6, and our daughter will be 4 on Wednesday. We have 3 girls and a boy.
Yeah.
And so we really needed to just have some time, just us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 1, that's a lot of kids, and 2, those little ones, I mean, the big ones require lots of schlepping, and the little ones require a lot of attention. So you need a break, Krystyne.
We did. We really did.
I totally appreciate that. Well, let's start then from your, transit to, where are you guys coming from again, and your transit to Port Canaveral for this cruise.
So if you'll go to the next slide, I'll tell you a little bit about that. So this is us, like, checked in. We've got our concierge stickers here. So we stayed, we flew in the night before because that's, the latest you should get to the cruise.
Yes.
And we stayed at the Hyatt inside of the MCO, which was super easy. We were able to do a Disney transfer. So even though I booked the room separate from Disney, I was still able to get the Disney transfers in the morning. And they took our bags right from inside of our rooms. And they did something different this time. In the past, I guess they have met you at the main level by the check-in desk.
Yep.
But this time they have a bar. I forget what it's called, but it's on level 9. And that was where they were meeting everybody and having them wait instead.
Oh, interesting.
So I meant to take a picture there, but I wasn't able to. So we were like one of the first people there. We were really anxious because we did get a great port arrival time. We booked this cruise very last minute, which, would normally mean you're going to, check in really late. Everybody's already checked in. But we were going to originally be in boarding group 3 with a port arrival time of 11:15. But, we would have got on right after concierge anyways. And, but they and I've heard that Disney transportation will normally get there pretty early, right? So if we wanted to just walk right on, essentially we would have, but we had to just wait around still for the bus. So we kind of just hung out and played some games together on our phone while we waited for the bus to take us. And, you watch the little Disney videos on the bus when you go, and it was all pretty easy peasy. I was asking there if they knew about upgrades, but that team of people didn't know.
Yep.
They had no idea.
Yeah, the transport folks are really, that's just their part, right? You're not going to be able to deal with room upgrades until you're dealing with the staff at the port, or even occasionally the staff on the ship, but typically the staff at the port at Port Canaveral.
Yeah, so nobody there knew anything.
Yeah. So let's start. You get to Port Canaveral, easy transport, of course, on Disney Transportation. Yeah. I very much recommend Disney Transportation for a lot of folks. Unless you're a larger group. If you're a larger group, you actually would save money with a private transfer. Yeah. But the transfer through Disney, super easy from the airport or from one of the Disney hotels. And then you get to the port, you get through security and all of that. And at what point were you able to find out whether or not upgrades were available?
I'll get to that. I want to say too that going through security was so great because they already you are already all checked in at the hotel.
Oh,
so
great.
You got to bypass, you only went through security. They'd already checked in all these things. So it was so fast.
Oh, so they checked your passports and everything.
Your passport and everything nice. At the hotel. So it was so nice to kind of really breeze through. So once I got there, I was like, where do I go to check? And the lady goes, oh, you will go up here and we have plenty available, which I sort of knew because I had been looking on the website the last few days prior at what kind of concierge rooms were still available. And I had tried really hard to look online to get an idea of how much it might cost to do that, because there's not a lot of information people sharing, because I don't think a lot of people are doing it, because you just don't know, if it's going to be available. And I don't think in peak cruising times like the summer that it's really something that's happening a whole lot.
Yes, it is from my anecdotal evidence. And so from our own sailings and talking to a lot of people who sail, it seems like it's less and less that port upgrades are available. It's just not very common. I wonder if maybe on the Wish it's more common because you've got a lot of shorter sailings, but I really don't know. But from what I am hearing from people, it's not that often. So it's surprising that there were so many. But of course, you can tell if right before your cruise, if there's still a lot of concierge rooms that are bookable online, then you can tell that there's a decent chance there's going to be port upgrades available. And if you want those port upgrades, I'm going to say the important thing is going to be there early, right? And so if you are someone who has a Disney transfer, you are likely to be one of those earlier folks, or if you are someone who has an early port arrival time. So if you're Pearl or Platinum, you're likely to get, well, if you're Pearl, at least you're going to get an automatic early or open port arrival time, really. And so, that's definitely something to consider, or at least the Disney transfer is something to consider. Okay. Yeah. So what did they have available and what did you end up upgrading to?
Yes,
and if you're willing to share I was going to say, if you're willing to share the prices, I'm sure people would love to know.
I was like, all the science. I got it. And I have prices for what they had cost online prior to booking too. Mm-hmm. So what they had available, there were originally 18 rooms available prior to booking, and then it went down to about 15. So a few people chose to purchase or upgrade or whatever right before sailing. And when we got on, I didn't ask numbers wise which ones. I'm assuming it was still probably about 15. And there may have been some people, because some of them still already had their concierge stickers ahead of me. Maybe they were choosing to upgrade from one kind to another. But how it works is it doesn't matter, they say, what you paid for your room. It's the type of room you have to the type of room that's available. And so they had, the Wish is the only kind currently Wish class that has ocean views. And so those are just underneath the bridge. And then they have the veranda rooms, which are, similar to regular veranda rooms. Then they have one-bedroom suites, and then they have 1-story royal suites, and then 2-story royal suites. And so they
don't forget the funnel suite, Krystyne.
Well, the funnel suite was taken already. It was not available.
Okay. So you weren't even considering the upgrade.
We didn't even get to know how much that was, because it was, you're right. And so prior to sailing, the ocean view room was going for, $5,574. And of course, we got an ADA, which those aren't technically like shown as listed, but they were about the same price. And our price, we had paid, let's see, that gave me that. 1902 plus 25. The upgrade for us was $24.54. So we paid $43.56. And so we got, let's do some math.
Nice savings. It's over $1,000 saving.
Yes. Divided by, so it's almost like 20% off of what it was.
Yeah.
And then next was the veranda, and they were going for 50. What I thought was interesting was they were going for $53.58. So they were actually less.
Yes. So the ocean views on the Wish and the Treasure, which are those front ocean view concierge rooms, they are actually a little bit more expensive than the standard concierge veranda room, because they're bigger. They actually are they're like as big as like a 1-bedroom.
But it was going for more at the gate, the veranda.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. Okay, well, maybe it depends on what room was actually available in particular.
Yeah, I don't know. They were going for
$25.94.
Well, even though I could have had my pick of a couple different ocean views, like, so even though I got pretty much the biggest one available because it was the ADA, I could have had a not ADA that would have been smaller for the same price.
Right.
But the verandas, even though online, they were going for $53.58. Which was less than the ocean view. It was going for $25.94 for the veranda.
Yeah.
And then the 1-bedroom suites, they were going for, and there was another staterooms that were, they were going for $79.92. And the upgrade for those would have been $47.18. So again, still about $1,000 off. And then the Royal, it was, the 1-bedroom suite was $11,874. That's what that was. That must have been something. What was that? 1-bedroom. Is that right? Yeah. And then it could have been, no, because those are two. Yeah, that must have been the one. The 1-bedroom could have been $47.18. And then the Royal we could have had for $12,144. And the 2-story you could have had for $14,792.
Yeah.
For 3 days,
if you had all that cash lying around.
Yeah, no big deal. But they were going for $20,000.
Yeah.
And no big deal. So
let's talk a little bit about the concierge experience on the Wish. This was your third cruise, your first time sailing concierge, and your first time on the Wish, and of course your first time adults only. So there's a lot. We've got a lot to cover. You started out with the concierge lunch. Tell folks what if anything was special and different about the concierge lunch. Of course, it's a sit down lunch at 1923.
Yeah, sit down lunch in 1923. It was wonderful.
There's
We
my
had
Oreo cheesecake, by the way, on that picture. I see that right there in the right-hand corner.
Yes, it was really good. Although I will say it was not quite as cold as I would have liked, but it was
Oh,
delicious.
okay.
And the food was amazing. The empanada was delicious. I got into it before I took a picture. The staff was not like part of your regular rotation, so we did have an opportunity to tip them separately at the end, which I thought that was nice and appropriate since we wouldn't be seeing them again.
Mhm.
And what I found interesting was I've always heard that we would have opportunity at this time to meet with our concierge team to discuss plans
Yeah,
and
not
go
on the wish
over.
or the not on the wish or the treasure. Yeah, we've talked
Yes.
about this a couple of times on the show, but I'm glad you bring this up because on the wish and the treasure, you don't get an opportunity during lunch to talk to the concierge team. They do usually a kind of an intro
They
talk.
met us.
Yeah, while you're in the port still, while you're in sort of the waiting area of the port and sort of the concierge lounge in the port, they come in and they just give you some general information. And then if you want to go make specific changes or talk to them about your itinerary or put in special requests, you've got to actually go to the concierge lounge. And one thing I would recommend is to kind of do that on the early side, maybe even before you go to lunch, if there are things you need to, book or change or whatnot, because otherwise, you're basically going to be on par with all the other guests as far as timing, even though the concierge hosts will have, they have access, obviously, that's greater than a lot of the other staff, but still, you won't sort of beat the rush, right?
Yeah.
So it's a really good point,
Yeah.
Krystyne.
They were all outside, like while we were lining up to walk in, which I think that was like the only line I entered during any meal at all was that very first line for concierge lunch. And so we said hello to several of the members of the concierge team on our way in. Then I noticed, hey, they're not coming to talk to us. At that time, because I know that they serve Indian food. If you ask, I made requests of a team, and so a member of our head dining staff was there during the lunch. So we discussed that, and it was nice. So they did. Offer us drinks. So normally drinks are not included for your regular meals, but in concierge lunch they offered that. We didn't take them. We're not really big drinkers, so we just had regular things there. They kept commenting on like this beautiful view that was not. So they were trying to be funny about.
Well, you're in 1923 and you're like staring at the port, right? I mean, that's
Yeah,
what
and
it
like we
is.
had this window. We were on the Walt side, and we were looking at some like I don't know, like
Parking lot
gas
or
tank
loading
or
area.
something.
Oh, yeah. It's
We
probably,
weren't
sort
even
of the
like looking at
industrial
the
side.
parking lot. So it was
Yeah.
just like a weird thing. So they were really fun and sweet. And it was very nice because it was a smaller thing. So I actually took the opportunity to get up and walk around and look at some of the artwork inside of 1923, which would have felt much more awkward during our regular dining rotation to like walk around and look and see. But because there were so much less people in there, it was nice to do that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We do have a question. Karen's asking, this is Karen Shelton from My Path Unwinding Travel. Did they encourage you to tip the dining team at the concierge lunch, and how did they arrange the gratuity? This is a great question because I myself have never thought to tip the lunch team at the concierge lunch because it's only a single meal. And typically it is the staff from Palo who I'm probably going to see anyway. And so I'm probably going to tip them later. But I hadn't really thought about that. Krystyne, did you just ask somebody, hey, how do we add gratuity?
No, and I don't know if they made it clear to me where they belong to. You're mentioning that they worked at Palo. I don't
Usually, I mean,
recognize
it
them
could have
from my
been,
Prima Notte. I don't.
yeah.
And then my head server, like I mentioned, he came there. They
Mhm.
definitely weren't on my dining staff other than my head server, but they pretty much brought me like a checkout pad that you would any other time and said, it's zero balance due, but there's opportunity here for you to leave this. So they
Oh.
just wanted me to like sign it. And so I, pretty much like a room charge added
Yeah.
it on there.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. Well, I haven't heard of that before, but that's great. And Jeff is commenting that setting up the Indian food in advance is a great idea. Totally agree. I never would have thought of doing that. The best we've done is just on our first night of service asked for like, a later night. But then of course it's not going to happen the first night because that's just, not we haven't set it up that far in advance. So I want to jump to talking about your room a little bit because I just brought up that you mentioned you had the concierge ocean view room, which there's pictures here. And I know we've got an embedded video in here as well. I'm gonna hit play on that. I don't know if the sound will work. So if
not, I'll walk you through it.
Okay, here we go. I can hear the sound. Can you hear the sound?
So this is walking in. I don't hear it, but there's a little cabinet there. This is where the closet is. We had some in-room gifts that we had ordered, and they provided some snacks. Little seating area. It's huge. There's another that wasn't really a closet, but there was a little thing there that's opened in that picture above it. We had 2 TVs, Ariel, Little Mermaid themed, king size bed. There's another TV I think we'll get to see that was above the bed there. Kind of like a walk around space there. There's the view of the, kind of like Jack, king of the world space and the adult only pool area, which we never even went to.
Oh yeah, the rainforest is right in front below you. Yeah.
Yep. And then so there's the view of the port because we're still there. Nice little mirror and kind of vanity space. The hair dryer was horrible. Again, another view of the seating area. There was a bunk there above that. And then I think we didn't have the key in. So the first view of the bathroom is pretty dark. And we figured out there were buttons to open the curtains. So again, it's dark because we didn't have the key in by the door to turn the lights on. But a huge shower. We loved that when you did have the key and the light, there was little lights underneath the bathroom vanity. So at nighttime, you could see to go to the restroom. Unlike on the older ships, you have to kind of bring a nightlight with you. And it was just such a big, beautiful, wonderful space. It really just felt like very homey because it was so big. I think I'm going to open these. Maybe now he's going to help. Yeah. So we had lots of space to hang our clothes. The concierge robes stayed in the room. They were warm, but we got to take the slippers home with us. And the guy even was like, oh, well, you can wear them while you're here and I can get you some more to take with you. I'm like, no, just take the ones that you gave me. I gave them to my daughters. We love the cloud and blue and our kids do too, which is why there's 2 of them. And then the snacks that they provided for us. And then that drawer there is in that side underneath the safe. And so had we booked
concierge, here's the drink right there.
Yeah, we could have asked for certain things to be in there, but they put waters, Cokes, Sprite, and then they have Monster on board. So my husband asked for our stateroom attendant to bring us some of those. And so he put some in there. And the door to the ADA, it's neat because it auto opens. So you just like swipe your card or your magic band and it just automatically opens for you. And you can do it on the inside too. So you don't even really have to like open the door.
That's perfect. That's really nice. Yeah. These rooms are beautiful. One thing I will say is that this room is slightly different and even bigger than its counterparts of other ocean view rooms. We have stayed on, I think it's room 11,000, which is kind of the center room. I think it's like right next to where you stayed actually, or maybe it's either 1 or 2 doors over from your room. And it is ginormous, but not quite as big. And yours kind of has a bit of a wall separating the bedroom. I'm using air quotes because it's not completely separated, the living room space from the bedroom space, but in the one that is not ADA accessible, there is no sort of function between those 2 spaces. That may be something for folks to know. In one of those rooms, they are beautiful, they're ginormous, but there isn't a separated space between the 2. Magically Vanessa is saying the bedroom area doesn't look like it has enough room for a real wheelchair, but it may have just been the angle of the video.
It may have been because there really was on both sides of the bed. It was pretty large. I think it may have just been the angle of the video.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the concierge experience, since this was your first time doing concierge. Um, I know that you've got, oh, here's we'll go back. I'll
Yeah,
stay
we can go
on
back.
I'll
Yeah,
stay
we
on
can
the
stay here
room.
for now.
I'll stay on the room pick for now, before we move to spa. But tell folks what kinds of things were included in the concierge experience. Because obviously we have folks who sail concierge who listen to us. We have folks who sail regular who listen to us. We have folks who, only sail in inside staterooms or only sail in veranda staterooms. So we like to cover all aspects of sailing. We know, I mean, we've had folks on who've sailed in the funnel suite. So,
Yeah,
and
Chris
of
is the
course,
concierge. Yeah.
yeah, but I will say that our sponsor, My Path Unwinding Travel, does have an affinity for concierge, and so I would say they are very much, even though they book all kinds of Disney cruising sailing, but they definitely have a specialized expertise in concierge sailing, and so they are super like wealth of knowledge on all things the concierge experience. But I know not everyone who listens to our show knows that much about that experience. So why don't you tell folks what kinds of things are included, what kinds of benefits Sailing Concierge has?
It's one of those things that you're in it for the experience.
Mhm.
This particular room was really nice. It's really big. It was really nice, but we really didn't spend a whole lot of time in there,
Right.
right? The view was great. It was really neat to look up and be like, "Hey, that's our room right above the captain." But we were in it because we wanted to be essentially waited on. If we
Yeah,
needed or wanted
pampered.
anything, that we could get it. So, for example, you saw the spa. We had originally booked that at, Brian's kind of recommendation to be the next day, but that was going to be right after Enchanté, which essentially would have been during. So we wanted to do it prior so that he would look nice and it wasn't going to have to shorten our experience. And so we immediately got it to be moved. They're like, "You can go right now." We're like, "Perfect." So we went right then.
Oh,
Um,
awesome. So he went on Embarkation Day and had the
we
men's
did.
facial. Love that. Yeah.
Yes. And now, there'll be people who say you have to sail concierge to get a cabana. I got a cabana before we even booked concierge, Sam, 2 times in a row now. I got it. I'm being
Amazing.
stuck in
You
that front.
are batting 1,000 on cabanas, and you're
Yes.
right. Both times you didn't have concierge when you booked them. I will tell you, we're on a spring break sailing. We are sailing non-concierge, and I keep checking the app just in case,
Check it,
hoping that there might be. And nope, I have not seen a single
Sam.
cabana
Check it. And
available.
I tell you, check that day.
Yeah.
I saw
Oh, that's a good point.
5 cabanas open on the board before we
Yeah.
sailed. And I saw 3 cabanas empty on the beach, and 1 got filled that day.
Wow, that's
So
amazing.
you ask.
Yeah,
Ask
I
who you
will.
with.
I am. I'm gonna keep scouring the app like I do, and I'm also going to on board. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna ask, but I think I'm gonna even go to the concierge staff because I know a lot of them.
Oh,
So I feel like if I go directly to them, I might have a better chance than if I just go to guest services. I don't
yeah.
know if it'll work, but we'll see.
I
And
think
then
you
I'll
should.
report back on the show and tell people
You
if that worked, if that worked. But yeah, so you definitely I will say the only well, there is no way of guaranteeing you're
No.
gonna get a cabana. Your best chance of getting a
Yeah.
cabana at Castaway or at Lookout is if you're sailing on one of the older ships, obviously, because they're
Yeah, less
smaller.
people.
Right. So less people, less concierge rooms, and sailing concierge, right? That's
Yeah.
going to be your absolute best chance. Sailing concierge on any of the ships, you have a decent chance as long as you get that onboard request in at 130
Mhm.
days right at midnight, right? So that's that email we've talked about on other shows. If you haven't, if you don't remember, go back. I did a whole show with Kaylee on all the benefits of concierge. It's back in our catalog. I'm sure. Maybe I'll make sure it goes in the show notes when this goes onto into our regular recordings on Apple Podcasts. But it's absolutely one of those things that you want to put in a request for early, but you can get lucky like Krystyne. I mean, she's a lucky lady. She got the cabana, and she's a lucky lady because she got the port upgrade. As Tracy
Yeah.
said, you are one lucky lady.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So, but tell us some of the other. So they book your spa appointments for
Yeah.
you. Did you need to change any of your adult dining or anything like that?
No, really, I had everything else that I wanted, but the things that we got, right? So, I had some trouble with my magic band.
Mhm.
When we got to disembark and re-embark, it was saying that I was like not in the system. So they had to manually on and off board me, say I was ashore and not ashore. And
Oh
then
my
it wasn't
goodness.
allowing me to tap in for photo experiences. So we were using my husband's band. So as soon as we got back on board, they fixed it. So if I was having room key issues, whatever, they printed me new keys, that kind of stuff. So I never had to go to guest services. We
Yep.
had a question because I had prepaid gratuities for my,
Oh, on
room
your
staff.
DTY,
Right.
but how does that
And
work when you upgrade to
right,
concierge?
because
Yeah.
obviously my dining staff is the same, but
Right.
now I have more and different people to give money to.
Right.
I want to make sure that they get the money that they have, that they get the money that they're supposed to have, and additional monies. So they were telling me make sure that all of that stuff went through.
Mm-hmm.
And then the best part was so the concierge lounge, they had great snacks and they were so friendly. So
Yes.
friendly. I love people. And my husband,
Who was your staff? You got to tell us who were your concierge hosts?
so there was a new gentleman, Jean. He was great. He came from a different line and he was so wonderful. This was his third cruise. He
Oh
was
wow.
so nice. Danny was the
Mm-hmm.
main host.
Yeah,
He
the
was
lead.
fantastic. Venusa, we found out that we probably never saw each other, but she had been on the Wander with us on the 2018 cruise. Cause I was like,
Oh,
hey,
fun.
were you there then? And she's like, yeah. I was like, well, so this is what happened on my cruise. We got that double dip to Castaway and we missed Tortola. She goes, yeah, I was really upset because I wanted to go to Tortola. So she had been, and it was neat to hear because she previously had been in food service. And so she was
Mm-hmm.
on a dining team then. And then now here she was in concierge and she'd been in different ships. And there was Cornel. He was, we had some interaction with him. I can see his face. Did I write a name down? I have this little,
Your little
try
cheat
to
sheet
write stuff
notes.
down. I know Ashley was our head server there. You know what, man? I took my printout with all their names on it, and I meant to bring it, and I forgot.
No
I had
worries.
everybody's.
That's all right.
A sort of Susanna. Susanna.
Okay.
She was amazing. She really helped us a lot with Castaway and getting us on. We spent a lot of time back and forth on golf cart doing some different things. So, yeah, they
Nice.
were all of them. They were so
Yeah.
fabulous.
And the servers in concierge are fantastic as well. I got to give a shout out to the servers and the bartending staff and just amazing staff across, just across the board in concierge. You've basically got another, let's say, 10 to 15 people
Yeah.
in the concierge. I want to say it's probably closer to 15.
Oh yeah.
Total. Because you've got the 5 hosts on the Treasure and the Wish. Both of those, they have the most number of hosts, and then you have at least I want to say 3 bartenders, and then a bunch of sort of staff that are kind of servers and roaming
Yeah.
staff to do different things, whether it's to bus tables or to refill the snacks or to serve the snacks. Right, there's snacks all the time. Right, I mean,
Yeah.
we've got in the morning, you don't have to go anywhere for breakfast, I think, especially on the Wish
Yeah.
and the Treasure because they have
I
hot food
didn't.
items. Yeah. I mean, on the other ships, you get any sort of continental breakfast items in the concierge lounge. On the Wish and the Treasure, you get all of those continental breakfast items plus some specific hot items that you can order, like Mickey waffles, not churro Mickey waffles, but Mickey waffles.
I got churro Mickey
You
waffles.
got churro Mickey
Yes, I did.
waffles.
Yes, I
Wow,
did.
in the lounge.
In the lounge. I got a picture of it. You go to see. Yes, I
Wow.
did.
I
They
love
told
it.
me to order them and they brought them to me.
I love it. That's fantastic. And the other, I think the huge benefit is you don't deal with anybody else. You just deal
Mhm.
with the concierge host for
Yeah.
any problems, any issues. And of course, you get that early entry into the theater for the main stage shows. You didn't do that. That's fine. But it is one of the benefits. And you can also get popcorn and soft drinks. They usually have right there for you to take in.
Mhm.
But of course, you can always get an alcoholic drink at the concierge lounge and bring
Mhm.
it with you as well. And for those who haven't heard us talk about what the benefits are, the drink benefits in the concierge, the main benefit is between 5 and 10 p.m. You have essentially an open bar in the concierge lounge. Now you have to get your drink there. You can't go to just any bar on the ship, but you can get your drink there and take it with you. And as Krystyne mentioned, you also get drinks included at the first day, embarkation
Mhm.
day concierge lunch. It's just beer and wine at that concierge lunch and champagne, it's not a full service bar.
I've
So
heard some
that's
people say on another podcast that they got mixed drinks, and smoothies. But again, they weren't really like offered up too much different things, and we weren't really into it. So yeah, I
yeah.
think your
I mean,
mileage
that's
may
certainly
vary.
yeah, that's certainly maybe possible. I think the benefit explicitly is
Yeah,
is the wine and beer, but sometimes
yeah,
people throw in things that aren't
yeah.
necessarily
Maybe they want that tip.
included. Exactly, exactly. And then of course you get access to the concierge lounge, and on the Wish and the Treasure, the lounge is 2 stories. It is sort of a seating area with nice chairs. There's of course a kids sort of seating area with a TV plays Mickey cartoons all
Mhm.
day. And then up on the deck is a sort of a second level that has an open, beautiful deck. It's got it's got hot tubs, and then you also have kind of
Lukewarm
a
tub.
yeah, well, we've had them be hot. It probably
Oh,
depends. But
yeah.
then there is I want to call it like a wading pool that you can like sit in
Yeah.
and relax in. It's not like a
It,
pool.
it's
It's
like
like
a
a
splashy kind
yeah,
of cool down thing. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
exactly. So
pretty to sit in. It's a cooling area.
yeah, but it's really nice because
It
it's not
is.
like the pool deck can
No.
get pretty crazy, right? Even the
Yes.
pool deck on the Wish and the Treasure is really nice, but it can get quite crowded, and you'll
Yeah.
never have the same crowds in the concierge
No.
sun deck as you
Yeah.
have on the pool deck.
Yeah. We only walked through the pool deck with the exception of riding the Aqua Mouse one time, which was a, nice enough experience. Had we wanted to like swim a bit more, we would have found the Chip and Dale pool.
Yeah.
We did sit in the lukewarm hot tub on the concierge deck for a while until we were like, this isn't hot enough for us. We maybe could have asked, but we were pretty well done with it. That is a very nice deck space. And we would have, the amount of pool time that we wanted, we got there. And it was really nice. We did not go to any deck parties. I kind of wanted to watch the Pirate Parlay, but we honestly, we were so tired. We kind of looked out and saw a little bit of fireworks from our window.
Mhm.
Um, I think they actually like woke us up. I was like, "Oh, noise. Oh yeah, fireworks." We had so much fun. We really just enjoyed. And because it was just the two of us, it seemed like time just like naturally expanded because we didn't really have anywhere really particularly to be other than what we planned to do. So it was kind of like, what do you want to do?
I
So
love
we'll get
that.
to the things that we did do, right? So we mentioned that we went, the first thing we did was go to the Shave at Hooks Barbary. Now, this is where I want to say, beware of pirates. I've heard you guys talk about this. I did not warn my husband, and we definitely got a little bit taken advantage at this point. The woman was super sweet. He had literally just got his hair cut, and she talked him into getting it trimmed up again, which was another $60. And
So we got a shave and a haircut for more than 2 bits.
yes, and right on the little paper, which he agreed to because there were some extra little things, they had like, check if you want these additional things, which we agreed to, and that was okay. But the haircut, then he's talking to her about, whatever she's putting on his face and stuff, right? And so I sign one form, which I can see the charge for the 3 things that we agreed to.
Yep.
Some other charge that I'm assuming is this stuff I hear her talking to him about.
Uh-oh.
And then the shave and stuff that we originally agreed to, I signed this form. Then the woman who was talking to him, she shows me this other one, right? Because there's 2 women in there, right? So then she hands me this other one. I go, oh no, I already paid for this. She goes, oh no, this is for this stuff. $317 for the crap she put on his face.
No.
And I look at him and he's like, it's okay.
Yeah,
okay, so
this
I
is
sign it.
I'm telling you, they know how to upsell people on these spa treatments. And so I will tell you, I always, whenever they offer me any extras on my service.
Didn't even offer.
Yeah.
He said the way she did it was just like, these are the things I'm putting on you. This is how you use it. This is what you do. He said she didn't even ask me like if I wanted it.
You should have. I will tell you, I would have.
I returned it.
That one. Oh, good.
I returned it.
Okay,
because I looked at it to make sure it wasn't that she had like actually opened this product and
put it was a product. Okay, I see.
It was 3 products.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this the actual product she put on his face or just, brand new products of the same?
Yes, it should be brand new.
We took it out. We took it, we brought it back, and he was just like, man, I'm really like perturbed about this. And I looked at it and I go, they're all brand new. I was like, I'm going to take them back.
Yes.
And so he's like, well, I was like, you don't have to go. And so I went and I was just like, you know what? We don't need this. She's like, you're right. I'll just put it back on your room. And she did. Perfect. And it was no trouble about it. But yeah, man, whoo, she was slick.
Yeah. So I would have just said, no, thanks. But
I would have, but he looked at me and was
I
like,
know.
It's okay. And I was like,
listen, Krystyne,
okay.
This is something I'm kind of glad Brian's not on the show today, because I'm going to say these husbands need to learn how to say no to these sales ladies. Okay. Yeah. So that's a really good point, though. Really good warning. Beware of pirates in Hooks Barbary and in the spa of these upsales of, products and treatments. You're right. The ones that are the treatments, you actually do typically, sign to basically that you're agreeing that this is the price and that you'll pay it before they do the treatment. But these products, don't let them upsell you on them. All right. Well, I'm going to move to the next slide.
Yeah, we went on the slide and we walked through the clubhouse and it was fun. So then we put up our pixie dust receptacles and we got our pixie dust stuff ready. And after Mustard Joe, we did it. This is me just showing that it's frustrating to not be able to walk all the way around. But I have heard also on several podcasts that people say they can't find that very front point on the Wish. But all you do is go up the steps that you see. And I'm like, it really wasn't that hard, but I saw very few people going up there. So people, this is how you get up there. When you're walking around the promenade, you go up the steps and that's how you get to the front and you turn around. And if the captain sees you, he'll wave. He waves at us. And so when you're looking right here at this photo, we are on the left above the bridge, right? The bridge sticks out really far.
Yes,
and that
was
was
like over
right
here. Yeah. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was saying about Mustard, in the group before, I was really excited because when we were in our other room.
Oh, yeah, you were supposed to be inside. And then you
ended up on deck, right? We were supposed to be inside in the theater. And this time we got moved outside. But it was a lovely day and it wasn't bad. And it was okay to be outside. It was worth the trade to have a concierge room.
There are ways you can look up before you sail. Like you can look on like the deck plans or on, I forget which, whose websites, but you can figure out
Disney Cruise Line blog.
Oh yeah. You can figure out where your muster station is based on your room number. And then, then you're going to be in the theater, you're going to be out on the deck. And so Krystyne had done that and had mentioned that in our Facebook group. But of course, when she upgraded at the port, she no longer had a spot in the Walt Disney Theater, funny enough. But I have to say it's a worthy trade-off. All right. Well, here are your beautiful, this is your beautiful time at Prima Notte. So this is something, now you don't have to be on an adults only sailing to do Prima Notte, but it is an adults only experience. So it is easier to do any kind of adult dining experience without the kids being with you. Tell us what you guys thought of Prima Notte. For those who haven't experienced it, it's only done on the first night. Prima Notte means first night in Italian. It's done at Paulo, and it is a wine and food tasting. And so it's about 5 courses, I think, but it's small portions of each course.
Yeah. I think it might only be these 4 things we're looking
maybe
at.
4. Okay.
Yeah, because I think I took a picture of everything. So we're sitting in the rows outside first, waiting for our turn, and then we went inside of this tuna, the wagyu, the gnocchi, and then the orange dessert was delicious. This was my second time going to Prima Notte. I had previously gone on the Magic by myself. This was my husband's first time. We really enjoyed it. I got a different pin this time because the other one is the gondola with the grapes. So this pin is different. And I don't think the chef came to see us on the Magic. So that was really neat that the
That's
chef
nice.
came out.
Yeah.
And this room was much larger than on the Magic. So I think there was almost 24 people in here, whereas on the Magic, it really was only 12 people. So it was a little...
Now in here they do it in the main room, right? They don't do it in the private dining room.
Well, so like we walked through what was definitely main because there were still people like eating their regular dinner. And then we were in probably I would say probably part of the main because there was
yes, it's the second
private room in the back where they were like plating the food and then bringing it to us.
Perfect. Yeah. So Paulo on the Wish and the Treasure, it kind of is almost 3 rooms, right? There's the first part of it and the second part of it are typically just sort of regular dining room. And then there is a private room all the way in the back. But it sounds like they used the first room for just regular dining and they used all of the second room for Prima Notte. That's similar to how they did it on the Fantasy, where we were in, although we were in sort of the first part of the dining room in Paulo doing Prima Notte there. Whereas on the Magic and the Wonder, they do it in the private room, so it's much smaller. But it's a really nice experience. We loved it. Did you guys enjoy? I mean, you had done it before, so obviously you enjoyed it the first time. But did you enjoy it as much the second time? And did your husband enjoy it?
We did. We really did. He had never done anything like this. It was really enjoyable. I was got to get a new different pin. So now I'm like, ooh, maybe we should book it for the Wonder when we go in Alaska and see if we get a new one. Because the food is delicious.
Yeah.
And the sommeliers are different. And so even if everything is like literally exactly the same, the experience is still different.
Yeah. And I will say the food is the same across the different ships. And I think the wines, typically they're the same wines, but they can change them out depending upon what's available, right? And same with the food. They could change it out based on what's available or seasonal, but it's thus far from what I've seen over the last, I guess they've been doing it now for maybe a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. It seems to have been fairly consistent from ship to ship. I will tell you that Paulo pin that you got is the same one that they have on the Treasure. So the Wish and the Treasure at least both have that pin. And the one that I have from, I believe it's from the Magic, is different. I think it's the gondola pin. So
yeah, that's the one I have. So I wonder what the Wonder has.
And Vanessa is asking, can you ask for different food if you don't eat seafood? She's thinking of Andrew not eating seafood. I can answer that question with certainty. Yes, because we went to Prima Notte with Tracy and our friend Tracy, who also does not eat any fish, any seafood, but either fin or shellfish. And she was able to get the tuna course subbed out for something else, right? So they will sub out. You just need to tell them. I will say it's probably not, if you have like a lot of food allergies or complex food allergies, it's probably not something they're going to be able to accommodate. But if you are just somebody who either doesn't eat meat or doesn't eat fish, I think that it's just really subbing out like one course, not a big deal. Yeah. And Tracy's giving a hot tip. Ask one of the servers to order you a flatbread if you're still hungry, and they've had good luck doing that. So
that would be good.
Yeah. So if you decide you want to stick around and not do main dining, you can probably, sit at the bar or stay where you're seated and order a flatbread to have as your dinner. All right. I'm going to move us to the next slide, which is lots of main dining food. I love it. I love it. Tell us, like, what was different about eating on a Disney ship without the kids there?
Yeah, so I think this may have been a concierge note. We mentioned that we were on our anniversary, but I was told at the concierge lunch that they were moving our tables because we had originally been seated at 108 and we got moved to 208 and we were seated alone. So we had not necessarily made that request, but we were seated alone and we did have really what I would consider to be good seating. As you can see there in this photo with Spider-Man, we were on an aisle seat all the time. So the characters were always coming close to us. And we never really had to worry about, the kids. Are they hungry? Are they going to go? Although we do second dining even with our children, it works for us. And I'm so glad they brought back the stay and play because my kids on our first cruise had that and that worked well for us. So we're looking forward to that in Alaska if we're even on the ship when it's time to eat. But anyhow, it was nice to kind of have this extra space at the table to ourselves. But I will say, I had heard someone comment on a video that they thought that the Wish regular dining staff was maybe a little less attentive. My husband commented that he kind of felt that way, having just come from September from a very friendly staff. So I don't know if like not having the children made them feel a way about us being adults only or something, but we weren't really getting the super warm and fuzzy from our staff. I wouldn't say that they were rude to us by any means, but I don't know. It was a little bit different in that way. I saw other tables who had children. We didn't really have magic tricks and stuff for our kids before, but I did witness some of that at other tables. And so I was happy for them. So I don't know if they felt like we wanted like private, intimate time or something, but they just weren't really very interactive with that. Whereas we felt very close to our other staff on the magic, and we didn't really have that this time.
Well, that's a very interesting point. I'm sure it can vary based on the servers, and I'm sure it does vary sometimes. If you don't have kids, they might think, oh, they just are having, dinner, the two of them. I'm going to kind of step back and let them enjoy and sort of more of like that fine dining experience. And of course, I'm not saying that main dining is fine dining. It's not by any means, but I just mean this sort of if you go to a fine dining restaurant, it's very typical for the staff to not be unfriendly, but to not really engage and chat with you. They are sort of there to deliver the food, take the food, make sure you enjoyed everything. But they don't want to sort of interfere in your experience and your conversation between you and your dining companion. So it might be more of that vibe,
Right.
but that's definitely something to think about. If you don't have the kids, you're probably not getting the magic tricks. Let's be honest.
And then pro tip here, I want to say before you leave adventures is to get the gnocchi and the schnitzel and dip the schnitzel in the gnocchi sauce.
Ooh, I like this tip very much.
I heard it on, I think, Rope Drop on Deck. Somebody mentioned that, and I tried it, and it was very good.
I like that tip because I find that schnitzel to be quite dry.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah. All right. And that gnocchi is pretty good, although the gnocchi is not as good as Paulo or Remy gnocchi.
Agreed, but the sauce is good, and it's good with the schnitzel.
Yeah. Or sorry, Enchanté gnocchi, I should say. All right. Well, here we are at Enchanté. Now, again, this is something you absolutely can do if you're sailing with kids, but it is a longer meal. And so we're talking like it can be more than 3 hours depending upon your pace, right? Like I would say generally about 3 hours, but you could go 3.5 hours easy if you're kind of slow in your eating and talking a lot to the servers and asking for, information. But it's a wonderful experience. I'm imagining that you all did the full the collection experience. Am I right?
We did the collection and the what's the other one? The pairing, the something we did.
Oh yeah, the wine pairing also.
No, not the wine pairing. We did, what's the other one? We picked two things. What's the picture show? What is it called? We didn't do the wine pairing. It was two different meal taste choices. Like to share. Not the vegetarian option. It was The Passion and the Collection. That's what we
Okay.
chose.
Gotcha. And the Collection is the longest of the meals. It has the most
Yes.
courses. The Passion is, I think maybe 2 less courses than the Collection.
I think so. And so like we started out with like the same things, and then at some point we kind of split off and had different things, and some of it was really delicious and some of it gave me nightmares. And if we didn't like something, they replaced it. So for example, that little star-shaped sort of gnocchi thing there at the top next to the
Right here.
desserts, yes, that was a replacement dish for something my husband didn't like.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And something else probably was too. But the worst part for me was the very first thing, the amuse-bouche. I could not like that.
You did not like the amuse-bouche. Okay. All right.
But really, like, the lobster was delicious. The pigeon was not so bad. The Wagyu was really amazing. The leafy thing, which I think accidentally got buried because there was
Here.
so much food. I think this is the one that has so many pictures. There really were some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things.
Yeah.
But by the time this 3-hour ordeal ended, we had spent we did get 1 glass of champagne each at the front, and we chose still water and went through 2 bottles of that. There is a shared gratuity, and then we added additional gratuity for our main server who served us. This was a $600 deal.
Yeah.
And we were like, this was wonderful. I'm so glad that we had this experience together. Lots of stories and time, and to, really connect with one another. It was funny because, as you can see across in this photo with the dessert, we're at Nassau this day. And so we're looking at a Carnival.
Oh, right here. Yeah.
That had a very janky dive-in theater that was playing Moana 2.
Oh, funny. That's really funny. And this is, so you were doing this as a brunch, not as dinner then.
It was, well, technically it's lunch. They got rid of brunch.
Right. They don't, I say brunch, but right. It's actually a dinner. It's really a dinner menu just done earlier in the day.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was a very nice experience. It took up the majority of our day, and we enjoyed our time together, and they were very nice celebrating our anniversary, but it was a one and done for us. Sure. I would like to try Remy. I would have liked to have had the like lemony dessert I've heard you guys talk about and some things. So I would maybe go a la carte sometime. But yeah, it was an interesting experience.
Yeah. It's a lot of food. I mean, that's the other part is I know all the dishes individually are small, but it's very rich food, and it's a lot of food when you think about all the courses. And when you order the collection, it is just like you end up with extra courses too. I don't know how, it's so much it's like they tell you it's like 9 courses, but in the end you're like getting like 11 or 12 courses. Because there's multiple like dessert things that you get as a part of the experience.
Yeah, we traded desserts at the end because they gave me like a mango something, and they gave him like a peanut butter something, and he likes peanut butter, but I don't like mango, so we switched, and it was delicious.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, sometimes it does require swapping too, and
we tasted everything, which was the idea.
That's the way to go. That's absolutely the way to go. I did get a comment here I want to pull up about your experience with servers is not an anomaly, according to Ed. He thinks Disney intentionally put the more friendly and outgoing staff for families with kids, even if adults would prefer the more friendly, outgoing staff. That's interesting. That would not surprise me. And then Matthew is saying he thought there was a lot of food at Palo Brunch. Wow. So the difference between Palo Brunch and Remy or Enchanté Brunch, you are going to get more. Each plate is going to have more food on it at Palo or Remy. The portions are going to be Apollo. I mean, sorry, the portions are going to be much bigger at Palo for brunch than they are at Remy. This is probably this picture, or these pictures might be a little bit deceiving because you can't see scale.
Yeah, they're smaller portions.
These things are smaller portions, but it is a lot of courses. And of course, because Krystyne and her husband each ordered different menus, they got a lot of different courses. So there's a lot of, and Vanessa saying it, Palo is not that expensive.
it's not.
That is true. And the brunch is the brunch at Palo, or lunch, however you want to call it, is a flat fee. Whereas this is not a flat fee. I mean, there is a flat fee for the collection, but there are, add-ons and whatnot. And it's certainly different and a higher price point. All right. So one and done for Krystyne. I'm still going to go back and do my Remy dinners. I would
love to try Remy. I haven't been on this shoot. So now this is the smorgasbord of the rest of the food that we had. So,
and I see there's some concierge food in here too. It's a mix of stuff.
Yes. So over here on the top left, the top two pictures, we stopped in Hyperspace. No, to the left of that, there's the little snacks that they give you to the left.
Sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
My cursor is on.
I'm pointing to it with my mouse, but you can't see what I'm doing.
No, and my mouse is actually my mouse is on it, but not on it on the right page.
Yeah, so that's okay. Yeah. So they had like chocolate covered pretzels and little candied berries and something else. I can't remember what's in the middle. And I ordered this drink because my daughter accidentally broke my nephew's porg mug from Olga's Cantina. Mm-hmm. So that's not shown here because I kept it in the box. And I ordered this Twisted Temple that they have this little Yoda kiwi thing, and this straw is peach flavored. It's actually like a candy.
Oh, it's one of those edible ones.
So delicious. I really liked it. And we actually had a really fun photo. We walked in there the first time to try to order this drink and cup, and they were taking like a photo shoot that I didn't notice in the Navigator app. So bar was closed, but we got this really cool photo shoot of us in Hyperspace Lounge.
Nice.
And we got to feel the vibrations in the seats and see the screen change. And so then later when it opened for regular, we went in to get this, and then we didn't need to stay. We just wanted the drink to leave. So I gave the snacks to this woman who was there with her small children. I was like, here, take these. She was like, thank you.
Oh, that's nice.
So then underneath that, those are the churro waffles and bacon that I was able to get in the Concierge Lounge. Then the next two things, that's the Indian food that I had. This was 1923, I think, on the last night.
This is the corn soup, right?
Yes, that was so good.
That's one of my favorite soups. Yeah.
Yes. And
where are these meatballs? Oh, is this
that's Arendelle? And I actually didn't like them. And that's my husband had the prime rib, which he really did enjoy. Yeah. And next to that is more Indian food. They brought me Indian food on the second and the third night. And I was so glad because I wasn't as impressed with those meatballs as I had hoped I would be. So I really enjoyed the Indian food both of those nights. That Mickey bar is my husband's last dessert, which was at 1923. That's the Bayou. I got those. We ate them in the Concierge Lounge.
Oh, the beignets are fantastic.
They were really good. Not as good as the French Quarter.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's on Castaway.
Castaway. Yeah.
Yes. And we, because we had the cabana, we ate at Cookies too, which I had watched a video recently of somebody showing the line for the food at Serenity Bay was ridiculous.
Oh, and
so that was part of my choosing. There was a Serenity Bay cabin that became available. I watched some videos of it and heard a lot of people say the beach at Serenity Bay and Castaway Key isn't as nice as the family beach. And I had heard Cookies too was always a good spot to get food. So I ended up choosing to get the family beach instead. And I'm really glad that we did. And it was too easy. I mean, we just walked right up and got our food as much as we wanted and sat down. No line, no nothing.
Yeah, love that. Yeah. So I've flipped to we're already past our time.
Over. Yeah, so watch the cabana. Yeah.
I want to I'm going to play the cabana video that you took so folks can see and you can narrate as we.
Yeah, so this is as you're coming out. Of course, it started out dreary and our parasailing was canceled. And then 10 minutes later, it was a beautiful, lovely day. They put your name on there. You walk right in. I think, and so they have these wonderful seats inside of there where you can sit. And there are, there's like a speaker and radio to play. We couldn't figure out how to change it, but we liked the music that was playing. There are snacks and chips and fruit. You do pick up your snorkel gear, whereas at Lookout Key, they provide the snorkel gear for you. Here, you have to pick it up yourself. Then the fruit and the drinks and the cold towels. There's a button there to push if you need help from any of the concierge team. There's floats and tubes. They have the little sandcastle things. I loved having the access to the water there to rinse our cabanas being built on the Serenity Bay side. And we had, excuse me, if you want to go to the next picture to get off of that.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. Yep.
Yeah. They had, the water does, really kind of go in. Our favorite part about Castaway, we did, ride the bikes and go on the tower and do the 5K, and that's the snorkeling. Snorkeling was our favorite part. We snorkeled on our honeymoon. We loved going out and seeing all of the Disney things in the water and going to the white thing, buoys to see. That was the best.
Yes, and honestly, I mean, you can't go wrong with a cabana at Castaway. We did have a question in our Facebook group recently from Wesley about whether he actually was able to snag a cabana at both Serenity or both Lookout and Castaway, and he was asking, but he was only going to do one, and so he was asking us which one should you do it at. I personally think there's more benefit to having a cabana at Castaway, especially if you haven't been to Lookout yet. If it's your first time at Lookout Key, I think you're going to want to spend the time on the family beach and exploring that area, and the cabanas are much further away. Whereas at Castaway, the cabanas are still pretty close to Family Beach too, and you can access everything, including snorkeling, fairly easily. And so I would recommend, if you have not been to Lookout yet, and you're choosing between a cabana at Castaway or a cabana at Lookout, cabana at Castaway is the way to go. But I mean, like I said, you just can't go wrong. If you get the chance to get that cabana, get that cabana. That's what I
and
say.
they'll cart you around. I love it.
And they'll cart you around. That's another, you don't have to be concierge for them to cart you around, but if you are staying in a cabana, they will cart you around places. So they will take you to, to the snorkeling area if you don't want to walk there. They will take you back to the ship if you don't want to walk back to the ship, right, at the end of the day. So all of those things. But as Krystyne mentioned, they are building a whole bunch more cabanas past Cabana 21, which is the last of the Family Beach cabanas. There's more cabanas in Serenity Bay, but the cabanas they're building seem to be in between the Family Beach cabanas and where Serenity Beach cabanas start. So I'm not sure which ones will be, obviously the ones closer to Family Beach are more likely to be Family Beach, but I'm not sure if they're going to be all Family Beach cabanas or
definitely some of them appear to be Serenity Bay, because
there seems to be kind of a split.
Bay, they were clearly
okay
on Serenity Bay, because at the end of the Family Beach, it appears to be more basic construction. Like you saw that big pile of sand. Where on Serenity Bay, there are cabanas coming up. I didn't include a picture of it. I can send it to you, but they are cabanas and they are on Serenity.
All right. Well, there you have it. Now I know you all went to Epcot after your cruise, because what's better than, walking around the World Showcase, hitting a little Guardians of the Galaxy. We don't have time to talk about that part of your trip, of course, and we are a cruise podcast. We try to focus on, on the cruise. But Krystyne, did we miss anything that you wanted to make sure folks knew about what the benefits of adults only sailing on Disney Cruise Line or concierge sailing on Disney Cruise Line that you got to experience?
My husband just wanted me to make sure everybody knew that he feels like cruising like a Disney snob is the best way to sail.
Best way to sail. I love that.
No, we really did have a great time. We had a wonderful experience. If we had the opportunity to port upgrade again, I definitely would. I don't know if there's enough benefit that I feel like I would rack rate do concierge, because, again, the things that you can get, I was able to do a lot of that myself, right?
Sure,
I could get a cabana, I could get all the things that I wanted prior to. So those things, but I really enjoyed the staff. I really enjoyed being able to get these other parts of it. So yes, I would definitely try for a port upgrade again. I really enjoyed the experience, but not enough to pay rack rate. And I'm a deal finder girl, so I would do it again for sure. And Cruising without my children, yes, we definitely would
You'd
do it
absolutely
again.
do it again. Two
The
thumbs
Disney
up for
experience is just wonderful.
two
Yeah, I mean,
thumbs up for leaving the kids at
yeah.
home.
They were a little sad. We were like, we're going again in September. We made sure
Exactly.
to book placeholders, because even though we use GTY, which doesn't use placeholders, when like we used our last placeholders to book for the adventure, when special release dates and stuff come out that you can't use GTYs, we'll use those for that. So
Yep, absolutely
we
makes sense.
made sure to still do those things. We got to still meet characters. We still did a photo package. And even though we didn't get maybe as many pictures as we would have with our kids, we still got really nice photos of us that we can remember. And I even still took around a little mat and had people sign it.
Had
We have
them
a
sign
picture
it.
of
I
us
love
from
it. Yeah.
Avengers. It was really good.
I will say you got some great photos. I used them to promote the show ahead of time, of course, on social media. If you haven't seen them, check out the post on Instagram, has all the pictures, as well as my posts on Facebook. But yeah, great pictures you got of you and your husband. I love the one with the lightsabers. One thing I'll say is I think the question of Concierge, is it worth it, is a really personal one.
Mhm.
And I want to just point out that you were able to get a cabana before Concierge, and before you upgraded to Concierge. But as I mentioned earlier in the show, I think that's still a rare thing. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's not possible, but you got to just be really lucky.
Yeah.
And Krystyne clearly has the pixie dust magic on her side. I don't think I have the pixie dust magic on my side. But as Tracy says, adult cruising is the best. I will end on that and say, thank you, Krystyne, for joining me. Thanks for everybody who's watching, either live right now with us or will watch us later. And of course, thanks to those who are listening on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. And also, if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please make sure to give us those 5 stars. We really appreciate it. And with that, I will say thank you and good night to everyone. And thank you, Krystyne.
Thank you.
And now let me find the outro video. And I can't find it. Anyway, how is that not happening? How is that happening to me right now? Here we go.